Heyo, you're listening to Toasted Time, where I cook your time with some Reddit stories. Right now, you're being toasted with some r/relationships, where love is debatably in the air. Starting off with, my husband is in love with his student. I have no frigging idea what to do. My husband and I, both 35 right now, met in college. We fell in love and got married 8 years back. I gave birth to our daughter in 2020, and my husband is a professor at his med school. He's a doctor himself. My friend, Sarah, also works in the same college, and she's in the same department as my husband. Few months back, Sarah took me out for lunch and told me that she suspected something's going on between my husband and this med student. She claimed that she'd seen both of them give yearning looks to each other. She said that she's known my husband for so long and she'd never seen him talk to any other woman like this, that he'd been so aloof around women all these years, but it's just different with this one girl. And in that moment, I had laughed at her face. I remember telling her that she's jumping to conclusions based on these supposed yearning looks. "That's why I didn't tell you before," she said. "I was confused too. It's not like he goes out of his way to talk to her, but whenever they do talk, it's like watching a slow burn romance movie. She looks at him like he's Brad Pitt, and he looks at her the way he used to look at you." I remember the exact words because they stung. Internally, I was breaking down, but externally I just smiled and told her that she's probably overthinking. That night, I casually mentioned this to my husband, and I was laughing at the absurdity, and I expected him to join in and deny the wild possibility that he's in love with a student. But he didn't. Instead, he looked at me all teary-eyed and said, "I'm sorry. I can't get her out of my mind. I've tried, trust me. I should have told you sooner, but I thought I could save our relationship. I really wanted to." I asked him if he'd cheated on me, and he said no. He said he didn't even talk to her, nor did they have any contact outside of college, and that he completely understood how morally depraved it is to try and pursue a relationship with a student. She wrote him a letter about a year back confessing her love for him, and he had told her that even though he was into her, nothing would come out of it. Apparently, that's when the yearning looks had started. I honestly don't remember how I reacted then. I think I just started packing and came to live with my parents along with my daughter. I've been living with my parents since then. Half of me wanted him to come back and beg for forgiveness, but he never did. He comes by sometimes to spend time with our daughter, but that's it. He never talks about the elephant in the room, and nor do I bring it up. I keep checking that girl's social media. She's insanely beautiful, almost doll-like, and intelligent. I can't help but think that someone like him should be with someone like her. He's always been very good looking, and I'm more of a plain Jane. She's the Meredith to his Derek. I don't even know what to do. Like, what do I even tell people? I don't even know who I am without him. And some part of me still wants him to come back. And then OP had made an edit. I've decided to talk to him. I know I've been avoiding this since months, but after reading all the responses, I feel it's time I rip that band-aid out. I'm going over to a house. I'll update on what happens. And OP updated. The day I made the post, I met up with Sarah for dinner. I thanked her for telling me about my husband and the student, and also for being such a good friend. I asked her about my husband, and she says there's nothing unusual. He's been a bit withdrawn and aloof with everyone lately, but that's about it. And yesterday, I went over to his house unannounced, and he was there alone in his office, and I told him I wanted to talk, and he said he'll explain everything. So, Apparently, this woman has had a crush on him since 2 years. Her friends ship her with him. She would stare at him during her rotations and would blush whenever he looked or talked to her. Back then, he didn't think much of it. Many girls have had crushes on him and he's always ignored it. About 1.5 years ago, they were in the same research group thing. I don't know how this thing works, but there were 5 to 6 people along with these two. And because of this, they had to spend time together working. And it was then that he started noticing her. And he went into detail about how he was impressed with her intelligence, blah, 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 and her beauty, blah, blah, blah. The moment he realized that he had a crush on her, he dropped out of the research thing. And this was a year ago. And then a few weeks later, she gave him the letter confessing that she has feelings for him. And the first thing he told her after reading it was, "You can get into trouble because of this." And she didn't care. She wanted an answer. "Is it all in my head?" she had asked, to which he replied, "It's not just in your head, but nothing can come of it, I hope you understand." And that was the last time they interacted, according to him. The yearning looks that Sarah described were more of an awkward eye contact than anything else. He told me that even though he is still attracted to her, he has no intention of pursuing any sort of relationship with her regardless whether we stay together or not. He said he's willing to change his job and go to therapy. I told him to give me some time to think about it. And that's why I've decided to go ahead with the divorce. I don't think I can trust this man again. And a relationship without trust isn't something I'm interested in. So I've told my parents about it. They're not exactly on board, but they're still supportive. And I've contacted my lawyer about the same. And I think it's gonna be a long process. Can I just say, this is so cliche. This whole entire thing happening it's so cliche that it happened. You know, the whole entire "you can get in trouble because of this" when she told him her feelings, and then she said, "Is it all in my..." This is so cliche. This whole entire story is cliche. I almost don't want to believe it, but I don't know. I mean, it's so cliched. A professor and student, and they're in a research project, and then she confesses her love to him, and he says, "You can get in trouble because..." Like, it's so cliche that this happened. But, I mean, my feelings go out to her for dealing with a man like that. I don't know. Anywho. And now, on with some more where my husband and best friend had an affair last year. There's a lot of men in this day. Alright, anywho. My husband and I have been married for 7 years. We have a 5-year-old son, and he also has a 9-year-old son from his previous marriage. My best friend confessed to me that she and my husband had an affair last year that ended around Christmas time, my 2023. I had noticed some distancing there on her part, but she always seemed to have what sounded like valid reasons. I definitely felt like something was different with her, but I never, ever assumed it was anything like this. We still talked and saw each other during the entire time that they were doing whatever they were doing together, and since it all ended in December. She told me now because she has confessed to her husband and she wanted me to hear it from her instead of him. She's filing for a legal separation from her husband, and in their long talk about their marriage and why this was happening, she then confessed to the affair she had with my husband. During those conversations, I guess I made the mistake of telling her about the romantic things my husband still does for me and about how good he is in bed, and that's the truth. I thought our relationship was great. I was, and frankly still am, in love with him. I never had any sense that he wasn't attracted to me, or was interested in other people, or was cheating. She said it started in October 2023, and it was just S. I know she had been very dissatisfied with her own marriage and life with her husband because she had talked about it several times, and at one point she was even considering divorcing her husband. But she would always say that she loved her husband and he was a good man, but their relationship lacked any sense of romance and he didn't satisfy her sexually. She said she found herself flirting with him at a children's Halloween party in October. She felt very attracted to him and admitted she was jealous of what I had but never thought of pursuing him. Then, after the party, she decided to text my husband to ask for advice about her husband and their marriage. And we're all friends, and we get along, and normally I'd never feel weird about her texting my husband for a man's perspective on anything. However, in this case, I believe it was just her excuse to start texting him and talking about how dissatisfied she was. She said the texts progressively got more and more inappropriate until they were Xing each other. She showed me parts of their text conversation, but I didn't want to look at it. Eventually, they met up in the middle of the weekday to have S. She said they probably met up and had S 20 or so times. She claims they talked about it and both felt an extreme sense of guilt, so they mutually ended it around Christmas. My husband is a really good-looking guy. He's a people person. His job sort of puts him in a public light where we live. He's known in our community, he's out and about a lot because of that, and it's not strange for women to flirt with him, and I'd say he's a flirty person, but somebody who definitely knew where to draw the line. Our ex-life is great, we make time to do things together, just the two of us, but we definitely laugh way more than we argue. I just never thought he'd do this to me, and with my supposed best friend of all people. He's away on a trip with his oldest son right now. Just a short weekend trip. They get back tonight, in a few hours. She says she told her husband and I now because she knew he was away this weekend and this might give me time to process. How considerate of her to think of me now. I feel like all of my insides have been ripped out. I feel completely empty inside, hollow. I haven't even let on that I know anything. I've been busy most of the time that he's texted today. I just don't know what I'm going to do when he gets home. I really don't even know what I'm going to say when he gets home. I'm picking them up from the airport in about 4 hours. I feel like I can't even move. My mind can't even process everything I've been told. I've thrown up twice already over it. I'm completely and absolutely devastated and don't even know how to go on. I'm contemplating not even telling him that I know anything yet and try to figure out what I'm going to do first. The only problem is I don't know if I can pretend like I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to confront him or just completely lose my shit when I see him. If you were me, what would your next move be? How would you handle things when your husband returned from home? And someone down below says something I was completely thinking about. From Epic Vibes 777. He broke things off with her, so she thinks that by letting the cat out of the bag and separating from her husband, that your husband might pursue her again. Her motives for telling you the truth have nothing to do with your best interest. Cut this woman off immediately. And I could not agree more with that decision. Now, the only problem is, if they do divorce, then obviously the husband is most likely to go back with her. I would almost suspect. And it's just a terrible position anywho, but yeah, that's what I'm suspecting. Anywho, on to the next one. And for the final relationship conundrum, we've got my wife does not like me showing off my body at all and gets incredibly insecure over it. We got married 2 years ago and dated 3 years before that. I do not have some super buff body or anything, but I do go to the gym relatively often and watch what I eat. My wife has always been a bit chubby, but she is still a very beautiful woman, and that isn't just my view. She was known in our friend group before we dated as a very beautiful woman. Regardless, she has an incredible amount of insecurity over my body. She wants me to cover up in public, basically. She constantly presumes people are looking at me sexually. She sort of chastised me about wearing a sleeveless shirt to go play basketball, saying that other women will be looking at my arms. She took me to the side at brunch and told me to button up my shirt because my chest hair was showing. I lifted up my shirt to wipe sweat off my face during a picnic, and later she was like, "Did you have to show off your abs like that? People were probably looking." She has a weird fixation over whether my pants/shorts show my bulge, which they do not, but she seems to worry that they do. She literally requested to her sister for a pic of us at her pool to be taken down because I was shirtless in it. That was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I have talked to her about this, but usually just give in. This time, I genuinely confronted her about it. At first, she was just saying that it was a jealousy thing, and I think it is to an extent. We had a discussion about it, and she agreed that she would stop being so controlling. But then she broke down and said that she can't stand the idea of other women looking at me, saying that she constantly is terrified I will leave her, that her worst nightmare is some beautiful supermodel coming up to me at the gym and flirting while she isn't there. She said that she can't imagine still picking her after a beautiful woman flirts with me. She also commented on the fact that I only had S with one woman before her, and that she doesn't get why I have no interest in effing the countless women who'd want to F me. She can't comprehend it. She said that she has tried keeping this from me, but she can't anymore. And so she went back on what she said before and asked that I please just respect her wishes for me to be modest just for her sake. I said, okay, I will. But I think I only said that because she was hysterically crying. Needless to say, throughout the conversation, I told her many times that what she said was not true, that she was beautiful, that I would never leave her, etc. Which all of that is true. I wasn't just saying that to comfort her. I told her specifically that she is pretty widely known in our social circle as a very beautiful woman. It's not just me telling her that. It was in one ear and out the other, I tell you. I was just flabbergasted. For one, I had no clue she viewed me this way, as some type of guy who could apparently sleep with supermodels anytime I please, and apparently is constantly approached by them. Again, not true. I also had no idea she has this incredible fear that I'm going to leave her if this happens, which I would never do that. I thought she knew that. I just have no idea what to say now. I can only reassure her so many times. It feels like nothing I say breaks through to her in terms of me telling her I would never leave her. What do I do? It's the morning after and she comes home in 2 hours. And then someone down below says exactly what I was thinking. From Jap182. That looks like a self-fulfilling prophecy if I've ever seen one. She's so scared of you leaving her that she is doing the thing that would actively make anyone considering leaving a relationship. If by chance you got to a point that made you leave, she would think, I knew it all along. And I could not agree any more with that. Sounds like a self-fulfilling prophecy is about to come to spout in this whole entire thing. But, I mean, I don't know, what do you do? Like, offer therapy for her, tell her to go to therapy, because clearly she has an issue, because, I mean, if she doesn't stop, then I personally am foreseeing a divorce if this behavior doesn't stop, because no one can truly live under such rule of just tyranny at that rate of, like, always being conscious about how you look all the time. That's just mind-boggling, annoying, and just insane, purely. So I foresee a divorce in the future for them, but I don't know. I would say that she should go to therapy. That's my opinion. I don't know, though. Well, that's about it for those stories today. But if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe to become a fellow bread bag. But aside from that, of course, I hope to see you in the next time toasting session. But until then, have a good one.